Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who the true leaders of Israel today. And salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risking their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushua, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and this video is about these things that are going on, man. This Alligator Alcatraz detention center, and also this big beautiful bill that is going to pass, I believe, today. You know, today is their July 4th. So, you know, they'll be celebrating, all right, July 4th, which is really the celebration for the Edomites. It's a part of their conquering and, you know, establishing themselves as the power, etc. But, you know, it is what it is. Esau, Edom, who are these so-called white people, they're in their blessing. All right, so let them celebrate. But they're also celebrating by introducing this new bill, this big beautiful bill, which I'm just starting to you know, really learn about. But I'm seeing some important information coming out regarding it, such as this right here. GOP budget bill would make ICE largest federal law enforcement agency in the history of the nation. Now, you know, this whole situation, because this week, it's like this week's focus, because it's like every single week or every couple of days, there's like this new major focus. Like right before all of this talk and whatever, it was the whole situation between the state of Israel and Iran going back and forth. Okay, and now it's like that's put on the back burner, and all eyes now are on this whole situation with the whole immigration situation. And then this entire week we're hearing of all of the horrible things and the atrocities that are happening to these individuals that are being detained and being deported. And these are, you know, and targeting the Israelites, you know, the so-called Latinos they've been targeting. And then the story where we heard a few weeks ago, because, you know, this whole immigration and thing has been a part of Trump's campaign, but, you know, it comes and goes regarding being at the top of the news, but it's at the top of the news now. And then there was like talks about the 500, well, a few weeks ago, I first heard about the Jamaicans that they're going to be deporting. And now there's a situation where they're deporting the Haitians, which were granted, you know, grace to live in America for all of these years because of the situation that Haiti went through. And then they were given the grants. I remember it very clearly because I was living in America at that time. When, you know, Haiti went through whatever, I think it was a little bit the aftermath, you know, or sometime after. But I was there, and I remember being in college, and the influx of the cab drivers, you know, they were like all Haitian, you know what I'm saying? And that was in Florida. But basically they were given that grace to live there, and it's being taken away, it appears. So it was, the number was like 500,000 or something, but they're targeting the Israelites, both Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom Israelites, our people. And these are just the beginning stages of it all right? Because the scriptures talk about Jacob's trouble. Okay, so Jacob's trouble in Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7 says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." The time of Jacob's trouble. Who's Jacob? Jacob was renamed to Israel, right? And he is the progenitor of the 12 tribes. Okay, so that's referring to us, the Israelites. All right, so the time of trouble like never before. If you look at the history of the Israelites, a very quick Google search can show you. You can even take just one instance that we've gone through that has been terrible, which has been so terrible, and then just to imagine something worse than that to come, It's really going to be very terrible out there. But he shall be saved out of it. And so salvation is only for the Israelites, but even of the Israelites, there's a remnant to be saved, which is the elect of the nation of Israel. So the elect of the nation of Israel will be saved from Jacob's trouble, but Jacob's trouble is going to be affecting the entire world. It's going to be upon the entire world. And the wicked, unbelieving, unrepentant of our people are going to be caught up in Jacob's trouble, the judgments that are coming from Yahweh Shemishai. All right, let's get them. Second Esdras chapter 15. It says in verse 5, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right, so the Lord is going to be bringing these judgments to the world. All right, and when it comes to the sword, famine, death, and destruction, all types of judgment in all types of different kinds of ways can come about with that. All right, so it's going to be a very terrible time. I want to see if I can maybe get... See, in Jeremiah 16 and verse 4, it says, they shall die of grievous deaths. They shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth. And they shall be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. And this is what's going to happen to our people that don't believe. These are the days of Jacob's trouble, and Jacob's trouble consists of our people being detained, captured, however you want to say it, put into these concentration camps, these detention camps. And right now, the devil is cooking. The devil, I'm referring to the so-called white man. All right, he's cooking with it. Okay, so the main focus that has been like this week of sorts, or one of them, is finding out this information about the immigration situation where bodies are being washed up on shore. And imagine for that to be happening. You know, it's one thing for the bodies to be, you know, dealt with how they're dealt with, and then thrown out or disposed of how they're disposed of. But then, you know, for the Lord to show what is happening, what the devil is doing to our people, what the so-called white man is doing to our people, by having these bodies washed up on the shores. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure Esau, Edom, when they did whatever they did to dispose of our people via this transportation, saying they're going to transfer our people to these locations, but our people are perishing in whichever way, you know what I'm saying? They're disposing of the bodies, and they're obviously disposing of these bodies into the ocean for the bodies to be washing up on shore. But you see how the Lord shows you what kind of devil this is. Because these bodies didn't have to wash up on shore. The Lord has allowed it and has shown it, right? To show you this creature that we're dealing with, which is these Edomites. But this is a part of their nature, and things. This is just a little bit of their nature against us. And then the bodies being washed up on shore are in shackles and all these things. So it's obvious that these are the individuals that are being deported, but something is happening. Something is happening in transit that is causing this. Okay? And then on top of it all, no report on people perishing, but obviously they don't value the lives of the Israelites. They don't value the lives of the northern kingdom, right? And the southern kingdom. But I mentioned northern kingdom because it's northern kingdom that has been targeted first, and then whose bodies is it? Right, we've been hearing the stories about the current detention centers, the ICE centers, or whatever you want to call them, that our people are perishing in there. They're being held in these places for how many days, not getting the proper facilities, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just being held in these four walls. You know what I'm saying? And then they're perishing. That information was coming out weeks ago. But this is the situation that we're facing as the children of Israel. We're suffering under the curses. This is not our kingdom, right? And the nation that's in rulership, who are the Edomites, they have a perpetual hatred against us. So everything they do is for our destruction. They don't do anything to benefit us. Even if it may appear to benefit us, it's not. They have a bigger plan, but it's never to our benefit. The scriptures say to never trust thine enemy. But here it is. the situation at hand. Okay. Um, I'm learning about this alligator Alcatraz and this spending thing, which I'll just play the little bit of the beginning of this.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Much of the discussion around Trump's budget bill has focused on the massive cuts to Medicaid, the tax giveaways to the rich, and the impact on the national debt to the tune of $3 trillion. Meanwhile, Vice President Vance, who cast the tie-breaking vote, was focused elsewhere on immigration. He wrote on social media, quote, "Everything else, the CBO score, the proper baseline, the minutia of the Medicaid policy, is immaterial compared to the ICE money and immigration enforcement provisions," unquote. This bill provides a whopping $170 billion to transform immigration enforcement and detention. This includes $45 billion for new detention jails. That's 265% more than the current ICE detention budget and more than the budget of the federal prison system. ICE's enforcement budget would increase by $30 billion, a threefold increase, and there's some $46 billion for border walls and more. American Immigration Council calls the bill, quote, "the largest investment in detention and deportation in U.S. history, a policy choice that does nothing to address the systemic failures of our immigration system while inflicting..."
Yeah, so it's clear what they're doing. They're making their move to create all of these detention centers, these whatever else, okay? Putting ICE as, you know, the charge, and then of course they're targeting the Israelites when they're talking about the immigration and stuff. Remember, they're not sending like white people. They're not sending like people from, I don't know, France or Australia or any of the white folk back, the white looking people, you know what I'm saying? Instead, they've clearly only targeted browns and blacks, so-called. And then even a few weeks ago, Trump was talking about how they would provide grace. I know there's a proper word for it, but it slips my mind. For those in so-called white people in South Africa to be able to find refuge in America, because there's a situation in South Africa where the so-called Africans there are you know, not dealing with them well. So, you know, also remember the so-called Africans, those are the Hamites, you know, even though our people are there as well. Our people are everywhere as we're being scattered to the four corners of the earth. But yeah, those so-called white people in South Africa has been given the idea of refuge by Trump himself, all right, granting so-called white people able to go to America while deporting all of the browns and the blacks, so-called, you know what I'm saying, which are, you know, really targeting the children of Israel. And so they're just increasing it. Largest investment in detention and deportation in U.S. history, a policy choice that does nothing to address. Okay, so this is what they're doing. So that's a part of their bill. Okay, ICE, the largest federal law enforcement agency in the history of the nation. Okay, so you have that. Okay, then also this alligator Alcatraz, which I've learned about just this morning. This whole detention center in Florida that they have built. And they built it very quickly. Apparently, they built it in 8 days or something like that. And now they're sending people there. So I saw in the news, they were saying something about the first, where is it at? First group of detainees arrived at Alligator Alcatraz 18 hours ago. All right, so let's watch this and then I'll bring out some presets.
All right, let's go to the state of Florida now. After a turbulent couple of weeks, protests and lawsuits, we've talked about it here on CBS News 24/7. You see the sign there, it's being put up. It's called Alligator Alcatraz right now. It's reportedly up and running, open for business. Video taken just this morning shows that signage going up right outside the detention center gate. CBS News correspondent Chanel Call watching this story, joining us from our newsroom. Chanel, I see you're looking for the very latest updates here. What do you know about the opening of this facility?
Yeah, I actually want to start with some breaking news this hour. Read just moments ago, the Justice Department filed a motion to prevent construction delays for Alligator Alcatraz. As you know, this comes after two environmental
Moving
organizations had
swiftly.
filed a lawsuit essentially looking to pause construction and operation there until a federally required review of any potential environmental impacts was completed. I'm just looking at the filing that was submitted today. The Justice Department saying in part, delaying the construction of Florida's temporary detention center, as plaintiffs requested, would imperil critical immigration enforcement efforts and endanger detainees in overcrowded detention.
Anyway, as you can see, they've built this thing and they built it very quickly. And these are one of the locations that they're going to be using when they make that that microchip mandatory, which is the mark of the beast. All right, it looks like they're building up these centers now. The Alligator Alcatraz is just one of them. I'm sure they have others that they've been building as well. So for when the time comes, when they make the microchip mandatory, that they'll have these places to store the people, to put them in, to gather them up. And as you can see, it was built very quickly. It was built in 8 days, and now even what she's talking about, that there mustn't be anything to stop completing it.
Facilities. It goes on to say, Reed, we are proud to defend against these unfounded claims and to help the administration fulfill its fundamental obligation to prioritize the safety and security of Americans. So again, here, the agency essentially vigorously opposing that temporary injunction that those groups had requested. As for what's happening on the ground there, you mentioned that signage going up today. I mean, it looks, Reed, like the government is going full steam ahead with this plan. The Florida Division.
Yeah. So just looking at the comments, there's nothing kitschy about this. Stop calling it Alligator Alcatraz. This is a concentration camp on US soil. Exactly. Thank you. The people are able to see it for what it is. It's a concentration camp. So they're it's just going to be one of many for that time that is coming. All right. And so we know what's coming, man. Persecution of the prophets, persecution of the believers of Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right, and then judgment for the Israelites. Okay, where do we start? Revelation 2 verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil, talking about so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So we know this is coming. All right, they're going to be throwing us into prison, and prison can come in many different forms or ways, such as the concentration camps, right? Remember as well that mark of the beast prophecy, okay? There are going to be people who refuse that are going to end up in these places, all right? For not bending the knee to the system, okay? And they will be fine with that too. The wicked elite of Esau, Edom, because they have intentions to severely cull the population. So they need people to be against it. You know, it makes it easier for them, right? Instead of just, which they will get rid of the people anyway, whether they're for it or against it, but it just makes it easier for them. When people are blatantly against the situation. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushai, and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Yahushua 1,000 years. So the beheading is coming as well, all right, which is going to be happening at these concentration camps, detention camps, whatever. Let's see what some of these replies are. 1,000%. Not the first and will not be the last concentration camp on US soil. Alcatraz was a concentration camp. Okay. More like emergency jail. All right, let's see. Those are just some comments. Respond. Let's see what else. Okay. It's not a prison like Alcatraz. It's a concentration camp to hold humans denied due process. This is American fascism. Okay. Please list the detainees and crimes they each are being held on. And so, that's the, there's a spirit out there. And, the people of the world, the people in America, they are more in tune with seeing through the BS of it all. You know what I'm saying? They're able to see past what is presented to them. And people, the spirits of the people in the world are very skeptical of the people in charge. All right. And that's just how it is. See, we live in a society. So, you know, usually when you actually go to these kinds of comments, people really are seeing these things for what it is. There isn't this great level of delusion, but there is still a great level of delusion upon people at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the devil is moving swiftly, man, because this whole thing with the whole immigration, whatever, but they're making these concentration camps, detention camps in America, and they're moving very swiftly with them. So there's a broader picture. They're getting ready for their NWO, man. That's what it is. Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he knows his time is short, and he's going to be coming with great wrath. And they're moving quite swiftly with this. All right. And then you can see the images as well. You know, there's some memes of sorts, which even like the Los Angeles Times is reporting it like this, like it's some kind of joke or whatever. You know, some people are making light of it, but you know what? Everything's all fun and games for now, but Jacob's trouble is coming, man, and Jacob's trouble is going to affect everyone. Jacob's trouble is everyone's trouble, but it's called Jacob's trouble because the Lord is only concerned about the Israelites. The Lord doesn't care about the rest of the nations. All right, the Lord don't care about them. Okay, but they'll be caught up in it all too, right? But they don't have no chance for salvation, so their plight is what it is. But yeah, Alligator Alcatraz, and many more to come. All right, but anyway, we know what it is. They're preparing the situation of, as I read here, in Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4, and Revelation chapter 2 verse 10. All right, so the time is short. The devil is moving swiftly, and he's getting ready to make his big move. All right, this is the focus of discussion right now, but let's see what is going to be next week. Okay. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yeshua B'Shem Kodesh. Shalom.